Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today is a very important day. We have somebody who's been in the podcasting scene for a while and has decided that maybe today, maybe they will go live. Now, obviously, Sid Dithers is a pseudonym for this person. This person in my life has been an amazing mentor and a personal friend, but he's also been on the scene of podcasting for a very long time. I'd love you to welcome him with some pluses in the chat. And hopefully, after he says hi, we can do a reveal. But let's be patient with him because he's nervous. And this is the first time that he's going to be on camera. So, Sid, can you say a little bit? Can you say hi to our audience for us?
Oh, I'd love to say hi to the audience. It's nice to see you all. It's been a while. I think those of you who watch what is the Gold Network, the Midas Touch Network.
It's okay, Sid. I understand that you might not know all the YouTube channels and social media. It's really okay.
It's been a very long time for me, you have to understand. But I've watched you guys for a long time, and I've always been a very big fan, especially of that Mr. Dick guy who
Dickie.
is
Dickie.
He's delightful to watch and sometimes can be a little funny, which is always fun to watch.
All right. So, Sid, are you feeling confident enough right now to open your camera up and show the world who you really are? You can take your time. It's okay.
Oh, well, you've been really sweet about that, and I appreciate the understanding. It's been a little traumatic for me, but I think if you think the world is ready, I think we can turn on the camera now.
I think they're ready.
All
Welcome
right.
back, Nicholas Lamar Soutter from the In Time Podcast. Woo!
Hello, everyone.
Cheers,
Thank you very
everybody.
much. Well, thank you. Thank you. Sid Dithers is my troll for especially my fellow atheist anti-apologetics. I call them up. So, why do you hate God? Yeah. That's Sid Dithers. So a few of you will recognize him. I'm sure there was somebody in the audience who said, "Oh shit, I know who that is." Oh wow, you guys will let anybody on.
We tried to get a voice changer going, and it was just a lot of mechanics behind the scenes. So I'll go through and do my whole spiel, and we will get into this show. I am so excited. So I want to thank everyone for joining us. And for those of you who had to keep a secret, thanks for keeping the secret. For those of you who let it loose, well, you're okay. We don't blame you because it is an exciting day. It's going to be exciting weeks and months and years. We're so happy to have Nick back. Shayna Caldwell's on the Shills account today, and she always does a wonderful job. If you have questions for the Shills or Nick, please just at the Shills, and they can copy them and put them in where we can see them and ask today. So, and of course, super chats and donations are always welcome to support the show, and we can bring you more exciting content and also support Ukraine. So thank you in advance for that. So, Nick, you're coming back. And I think it's important for everyone who knows you. We know you. We know how wonderful you are. But for those of you who might not be familiar with you, can you give us a little bit of background on your life and your bio and all the wonderful things that you've done?
Oh dear Lord. All right.
And I'll ask you some specific questions about the show. This is just a little bio.
it's just, well, I'm one of those head on a swivel squirrel. So I there's a couple things I've actually done all my life in one way or another, which is talk a lot. It's getting me to shut up. That's kind of the trouble. But I like to teach. So when I graduated college, I had a teaching license. I could teach, social studies, English, and computer science for 4 through 12. And, I like teaching. I like educating. Being a teacher in the American school system is a really rewarding experience. It's almost as rewarding as being interred in Kim Jong-un's welcome centers. So I was not a huge fan of that. I wrote a couple of books. I wrote a Midwest Book Review said that the Water Thief, which was a book I wrote, should be required reading for all those who question authority in this country, which was delightful. I will say it is fair to note that the book failed commercially as well as it did critically. So a lot of awards like Best of the Year for 2012 and all this other stuff. And people's like, Nick who? Like, exactly. More people recognize Sid Dithers. Then I also wrote a book. It was the biography of a psychologist who spent 10 years as a therapist at Walpole Supermax in Massachusetts. And that struck me. I had BAs in philosophy and psychology. You can't do anything in life with a BA in philosophy and psychology. There's the old joke. What did the employed philosopher say to the unemployed philosopher? Would you like fries with that? So, I wrote this biography, and it was a pretty powerful indictment, I think, of the U.S. Criminal justice system, which everybody knows. I mean, our prisons have been declared crimes against humanity by the UN, for fuck's sake. And I finished that, and then I got a call from a guy who was a YouTuber, and he said, "Would you like to come on our show?" And I was just like, "What's a show?" He's like, "Well, we have these live shows on YouTube." I was like, "There's no such thing as a live show on YouTube." And he's like, "Yes, Grandpa, there is." And it turns out I could go live on YouTube. And this was like 4 or 5 years ago. And did the show, got invited back for a couple other shows. And then I was like, oh, there's a live chat. There's like people talking. It's like, oh my God, technology. And I enjoyed it and said, hey, wow, I'd kind of like to find my own voice. In Time started as what was really just going to be an interview program. And, we were going to interview people. And we did early on, we got a lot of great interviews, but we also decided we were going to do news. And at some point we decided, look, we kind of got to pick one or the other. I wanted to do the interviews in part because it's easier. Keeping up with the news 24/7 and staying on top and putting it in context is a challenge. But it struck me as more rewarding to do the news. And that's sort of where In Time went. And then you asked me to come on the Shills, and here I am.
So let's have you answer the question that's probably burning in everybody's mind right now. Are you coming back with the In Time show? Are you coming back soon? Are you going to resume everything?
Oh, did you say? I'm sorry. I think your mic is out. Your mic may be out. I didn't catch that.
Okay, Dick.
You can start if you want to start talking. I think there's a problem with your mic.
Okay.
Anytime. Just ask away. I'll answer anything. Uh-oh. Somebody's trying to no.
Okay, can you hear me now? Can you guys hear me now?
No, I could always that was a joke. I can hear you just fine. We are coming back. So we're gonna have we're gonna do next week. We're gonna do a short. Dear Lord, now my brain just got completely thrown off. We're gonna do a short premiere, just sort of talking about our absence and about old man issues. If we could have a mod get on that Mr. Dawson guy, because he's a troublemaker. I've seen him around. He visits our channel too. It's not fun. Actually, we are ready for breaking news. So we've been getting ready for the last couple of months. Lance is back, Commander Lance McMillan. Also, Isandering. We're going to be coming back basically full stock with everything. We were preparing the Discord, which is now open and live, and so everything is good to go. And we weren't quite ready when Trump was shot at. But I will tell you, first of all, I was delighted to see that sort of our internal systems were working. I knew about it. When I say I knew about it, it's because somebody told me. It's not because like I'm psychic. I had the information in my hands where we could go live. Shots fired, and I called Lance and said, "You know why I'm calling?" And he goes, "No, but when you call, it's always interesting." I said, "Yeah, Trump's at a rally. Shots have been fired. We know he's been hit. We are actually not going to go live with it, but we're going to do everything as if." And we just ran through the process. So we're if something live happens, we're probably going to go. We're keeping an eye on Joe Biden. He's complicated. I think he's agreed to drop, and then I think he had an old man moment and forgot he agreed to drop. I'm not kidding, and there seems to be some internal roiling. It looks like he was going to drop today, and then it looked like maybe they were going to wait till Wednesday, and now it looks like he's forgotten that there was any plan that he was ever going to. He seems to be like, what race? So we're keeping an eye on that. Actually, our very first show was accidentally breaking news. We like had a show. We were going to introduce ourselves. I'm sorry. I'm going to tell this story. I know I'm like completely dominating the time, but then people who've been on In Time know this. We were starting our thing, and I wanted to have a little red light in the corner that showed when there was a news alert of some kind. And I said, how the hell do I do that? And I realized CNN has a red bar that they just put up every time there's a news alert. So if I just crop a little piece of that website and just put it right up onto our interface, make the white transparent so you can't see it, but then the red will pop up and we'll get it whenever there's an alert. I said, this is great. Try it. Boom, turns red. And I'm like, fuck, it's not working. So I try to figure out why it's not. It's red and it won't turn off. And it takes me about 10 minutes before I'm like, wait a minute, is there breaking news? And I go, and sure enough, 6 police officers are being held hostage in Baltimore. And some woman has strapped a basket on her head with Twizzlers, what is it? Reese's peanut butter cups, all this other stuff, and a fanny pack, and is selling concessions to the shootout for anybody who wants to watch it. And we're like, oh God, this is just an In Time moment. We get to talk about commercialism while watching a shootout live. And that ended up being our first show completely by accident. So we have a couple shows planned. Downtime is coming back. Lance and I will be doing Thursdays again, same schedule. We're talking to Operator Starsky. His schedule has obviously changed a lot, and it's been a while. So, and for me, the biggest is 2 days after we went down, we had was a week. We had 2 scheduled interviews with Lieutenant Commander Benjamin Hodges. The first was going to be on Ukraine. The second was going to be something that I haven't seen anyone do yet. I've seen Ben Hodges everywhere. What kind of drive does it take to become the number 2 guy in NATO? He was the supreme commander of all NATO ground forces on the planet. What kind of drive does it take to be the number 2 guy in the United States military, head of all U.S. forces in Europe?
Yeah, Ben Hodges. I'm sorry, Ben Hodges.
One of the nicest guys. Yeah.
Ben Hodges is someone, if you know, with my bucket list of meeting people, is one of those people. I admire him so much. And when you had him on, I was glued. The guy just has such incredible insight. He's so interesting, and I admire you so much for having him on and doing such a great job with the interview from him. And I know there's more to come. I want to actually recognize Yvonne Way for doing a super sticker for $5. Thank you so much. Also, we are going to be dropping some links to Nick's his channel. He also has a Patreon that's he's going to get, or it's still up and running. It's still going. The Patreon will give you access to a lot of more private things he's doing. I think it's Q&A, right, Nick? Tell us what the Patreon will do for you. Really quick.
That's a really good question. And if you figure it out, let me know. We're going to revamp the Patreon. We've actually, the other thing we've done is we've had some time to kill. So the graphics have been updated. We haven't like it. This isn't like a brand new show, but you're going to look at it and you're going to say it's a bit more professional. It's a bit nicer and cleaner. So one of the things I'd like to do is get back to the Patreon and make sure that that's something that's up, and that for people who join as members, that's something that's rewarding for them. But we haven't gotten to that aspect yet. I do apologize.
Everything in time, right?
Oh, for fuck's sake! Actually, that's good. No, that's good. That's good. That's the first one that you're the first one to get that in for the night. Somebody had to. You beat me to it, so I feel bad. Yeah.
So let's go back to Ben Hodges. Is he one of the more memorable people that you've had on your show? Can you tell us, like, if he is, or who ranks up there with the most not exciting people, but really amazing for you that you were so happy to finally have the opportunity to interview?
I think Ben Hodges has to be probably one of my number one interviews. Yeah, and absolute professional. If you watch Star Wars, some of the greatest music, almost ever written, and you don't notice it if it's done right. If it's done right, you don't notice the music, and that's the way it works in Star Wars. And if a guest is good, you don't notice that there's pauses in between the questions, or that and his questions. You ask me a question, you're going to get a 6-minute answer. You ask Ben Hodges a question, you're going to get a 35-second answer, and it will be as precise as mine. And he's done, and he's ready for his next question. And it was absolutely amazing. And on top of that, just a genuinely nice guy. Was not what I expected. I expected kind of a hard ass. I expected, it was an absolute delight just meeting the guy.
Mm-hmm. Who do you have obviously he would be a person that you would want to have on again, and you want to have Starsky on again. And he was, just to let anyone who's viewing that doesn't know, Nick has had Starsky on. He's had several other guests on. He's had General Ben Hodges. He actually is really, really good at breaking news. So he is an interview program, but he's also a news program. That's actually how I got to know you better, because I was sort of feeding him some hot news behind the scenes, saying, I got this from an inside source. Don't know if you knew it. And then I think I appeared on Nick's radar. And that's actually how I think I told the story about how I met Commander McMillan through him too. Seen him, on the channels, but it's amazing how you meet people like that. And I thank you so much for all those opportunities. The doors open for me, an amazing way for doing that.
No, stop. Go back a step. In part, you're most welcome, and in other part, go screw. And here's why. One, it's good for McMillan. Lance does great when he comes on shows like this and does other things. Secondly, there is nothing I have ever done for anybody anywhere around the Shills that I haven't gotten back at least as much as I gave. So, Dick, when and especially I hear you talk, Dick says it a lot. You say it slightly more, talking about family, and when you guys talk about that, you absolutely mean it. Dick talks about it a little less, but he puts his money where his mouth is and acts that way all the time. There is nothing that I have done to help the Shills that you guys did not somehow give back to me equally, if not more so. So no thanks needed. It's been a pleasure for me knowing you guys, and you guys have always just been a delight to work with, except for that Dave guy, that bleeding goat that every now and then, I think his name is Dave. It's a long story. Dave's going to kill me. Anyways.
Okay. So let's go to the future guest. Can you reveal anybody that you would like to have on, or in your thoughts and dreams?
So for me, like I said, Ben Hodges, we had 2 interviews coming up, and he agreed to do 2 in 1 week, which blew my mind, and I took as a very great honor to myself and to my co-host at the time, who was Commander McMillan and Xander, because he clearly felt comfortable enough that he'd schedule us for 2 shows in 1 week. But one of them is I want to get into, what was he like as a kid? What were his aspirations? Did he sit there and say, I want to be in the military? And what kind of sacrifices did he have? Because you can't have it all. No, none of us can have it all. So what did he go? So I'd like to, and he agreed to that interview. And that's an interview. We all know his military position on NATO. We know his military position on Ukraine. We know all sorts of things about him, but I haven't seen a single person do a personal interview. So we agreed to that. I'm hoping once we've got our legs really back under us and we're good to go to have him back. Other than that, yes, we have a number of guests that we're interested in getting. I think it's becoming more important than ever to try to understand what it means to say something is true. And that sounds kind of silly. It's just like we should all be able to agree. And you watch the television and you realize, no, we do not even come close to agree.
That's true, Nick. If you could go, that was one of my questions to you is, what do you feel gives news or podcasting integrity? And what is the importance of having your facts straight? And well, basically the line you were going down right there.
Yeah. If you're interested in news, having your facts straight is extraordinarily important for obvious reasons. That's the whole goal of the news. Now, that's not the goal of many organizations. In general, that's not really the goal of MSNBC. It's closer for MSNBC than it is for, say, Fox. But even MSNBC is like, sometimes I've seen Rachel Maddow play real fast and loose with a lot of facts. I think the facts are very important. I think one of the things that's most important, and one of the things that at first was hardest to do for me, is admit when you're wrong. We did a show. We learned 20 minutes later we were dead wrong. We sat there and we said, how do we do this? What do we do? Do we just go right back on air right now, get back as much of the audience as possible and say, and we weren't wrong about everything. But we got a salient point that was non-trivial wrong. And I was just like, no, fuck it. We got to do this now. And we go back, we do it. And first of all, the response from the community was amazing. Like, oh my God, I got called back to be told that they were wrong. And so it got easier because the community was so understanding and because people wanted that kind of integrity and honesty. So I think being able and willing to admit when you've gotten it wrong. So always try to get it right. And then when you get it wrong, be honest about it and then just keep going.
I agree. And one of the things that I think I was telling you about is that, just to shill our team a little bit. And I learned this from you too, because, and I won't go into the details of what we were doing, whatever, but I did learn from you about, you can be excited about a point, you can be so excited to break news, but you have to make sure it shows up in a few different places, in reputable places, verifiable places. Otherwise, you're going to go on and you're going to have to come out with retractions. but more I see, and I think maybe you've seen this too, is that we have such an incredibly intelligent audience. The audience will correct you within seconds of whatever you say. And as somebody who sits in the Shills account during streams and shows and everything, when there's a fact out there, the two things they call you out on is if it's true or if it's old. Old news. It's like that came out 5 days ago.
It's not the audience that worries me. It's one head mod in particular, but who seems to go out of his way to like fact check during live shows. But
that wouldn't be Titan, would it? I mean, he's such a great guy.
I'm sorry, you broke up again. I didn't hear a thing you just said.
Okay. All right.
Well, listen, I'm trying to help you guys and make sure he's a mod here too. Wouldn't that be great? I think you guys should. I think you would be delighted. Well, here's the thing. We In Time is a show I'm very proud of, and I have a hard time sometimes seeing it as a business. It is a business. We've had paid employees. We have a tax number. We have all that other good stuff. But for me, it's sort of like it's more important that we're doing our job well. Now, at some point, you're going to have to intercede with the reality of you have to pay your bills and so on and so forth. And you guys have that same problem and so on and so forth. We were talking with a marketing guy, and I talked to a lot of marketing guys, and we always got interesting advice. But the advice was usually dumb down the show. Dumb down the show, your numbers are going to go up. I have zero doubt in my mind that they're all right. Then we talked to one guy who said, no, keep your show the way it is. In fact, don't be afraid of your audience being able to keep up with you. And I'm sitting there going, okay, all of the demographics that I've seen for YouTube says you're dead wrong. How on earth can you tell me that and say that this channel can work? And he says, simple. YouTube is a really big place. You're not going to be courting the 15-year-olds, the 18-year-olds, the people who are, Twitch gamers and all that other stuff, but you will be courting the people who know what they're talking about, who know what you're talking about, and there is a very big spot there because not a lot of people are trying to fill it. So I think what you just said about your audience, I think you hit the nail right on the head. Most channels don't try to do that, which is why there is a very big space for that. It takes longer to build. It's harder to build. But you get an audience that respects you, that you respect, and I think that gets back to what you had said earlier about having integrity too, which is, we're going to treat our audience with as much respect as we would like to be treated.
And you brought up a good point there too, that there's some channels that grow incredibly, they're 1,000 subscribers a week, whatever they're doing. But one of the things that I learned in marketing, and I'm in healthcare, however, some healthcare, especially when it's not insurance based, is you have to market it to get people to pay cash. And it's across the board in any industry. If you have people share you out that already know you and love you and invite like-minded people, that's why everybody sees me put this thing, great minds think alike. Let's get them all here, share us out, like us, and all of that. It sounds kind of corny, but it's true. Because if I like you, chances are I have friends that are pretty much the same, similar minded. I'm going to say, hey, sub to him, come listen to him. It is a slower way to build, but you retain more people. And then you also have people who can talk to each other about, in the Discords and everything, that can talk to people and share the thoughts, not just some random people coming in and throwing in comments. And, that gets back to family too. We always say Shills family. You are part of our Shills family. You always have been family. And a lot of your viewers are our viewers, and they just, oops, sorry, I'm throwing my glasses around bumping things. But I would love to encourage, if there's anyone in the chat now or in the audience, if Dick or Shane, if you could drop the In Time channels link, go and sub Nick now. There was, in your absence, some people unsubbed and whatever, they weren't sure, but we go, run, do this, because Nick's coming back with, full force here. And so happy about that. And share it out, share everybody out. We're almost at 10K subscribers. We need shares. You need shares. So everybody share.
And I'd like to point out, I think for people who want to do something quality and who actually enjoy doing this, and that includes all the shills, includes everybody on In Time. I think it feels antithetical. It rubs you. It's like nails on a chalkboard saying, like and subscribe and hit those. Even though if you don't do that, that murders. People aren't asking for those likes and subscribes because they want to. Nobody sits there and says, I think I'm just going to interrupt this show and just start, asking people to hit that like button. No, there's the fucking algorithm, which all of us are slaves to, and is. So one of the things and Dick knows this. I told him, and he does the same thing. Dick will come to In Time and start saying, hey, everyone hit the like and subscribe button, because he knows I hate to say it on my own channel. I don't mind saying it on his channel. So I will come on to the shills and say, hey guys, you think Dick just throws this thing? I mean, I know when you watch Dick produce, it looks like he just threw the whole thing together in like 5 minutes, but it probably took him a good 15 or 20. And so, unless you just think that all this stuff comes together, hit the button, smash the button. And I do that because I get Dick's dislike for doing it. You feel like you're begging, and there's something about, so, yeah, anyways.
On that point, I don't mind doing it. And anybody who's been watching the streams that I've been doing knows that at some point I will say that the reason I'm here, the reason I do what I do, is to reach hearts and minds for some good, whether it's Ukraine or some of the other fundraisers that we do. Unless people share things out and you get more people, you can't, I'll say win hearts and minds, but that's true. You're not winning, you're gaining, and you're getting people that understand. And maybe you get people that say, I had no idea. So I don't mind asking people to share and like, and whatever the algorithm, feed the algorithm, whatever it does, because for every hour or minute that we are on, we're probably reaching somebody that wants to help or wants to be informed, and they just didn't know where to go. But on the flip side, we have the Ukraine update on Saturdays. We have this program, but we have our funny weekday shows, the 42 show and Sunday night PubChat. That's also winning hearts and minds too, because there's a lot of serious stuff in the world, and people need a break. They need a little bit of time to laugh, and and that's not being disrespectful to the horrible things in the world. It's self-care. It's caring for yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to give my brain a break so that I can be here tomorrow and get down and get serious and do what we do and help Ukraine, help whoever we need to help. And that's been just at the core of where I get past the whole ask for likes and shares and get your friends here. Because when I see new people in the audience and they sub, I know that means help for somebody else. Pay it forward, whatever you need to do. So anyway, that's my little tidbit on how I get past that. So,
and the humor is important. We've had this discussion both with Lance and with Starsky. You want to hear some of the funniest but most gallows humor, ask Starsky, and he's got some jokes that will have you. But, then part of you is like, okay, but, in some cases he's talking about killing people. Yeah, but who's he talking about killing? And what is that? And then all of a sudden you feel conflicted. The most gallows humor I've ever heard of EMTs, medics who arrive with seconds to save a life if they're lucky. Humor exists for a number of reasons. It's not just one reason, but one of those reasons is it's a mechanism for dealing with trauma, and it works, and it allows us to lower the level of that trauma to a point where we can cope with it and deal with it. And I was gonna make a joke, but actually I was just like, oh, no, never mind. Anyways, yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think humor is it's the first step in healing from any kind of. And if you've been conscious in the United States, or for the most part anywhere in the world, you've seen trauma. We're talking about, terrifying things about global warming, terrifying things about orange tangerines starting, taking over the United States of America, and all of this other stuff. There's a lot of stuff. So starting out with a good joke, I think, is a great idea. So, yeah.
So, on the humor point, do you recall some of your funniest moments on in time that you've had? Can you tell the viewers?
Oh yeah,
funny stories.
One of my well, I mean, this wasn't that funny. Starsky's camera wasn't working, so I hooked up. I had a GoPro. I hooked it up to a drone and sent it over there, and he shot the fucking thing down. That pissed me off. So, yeah, everyone else thinks it's funny. Let's see.
Well, okay.
No, honestly, I had a few ideas ahead of time on. Well, no, there was one that was our second or third show, and it's a process, and we try to do postmortems on every show so that the next show will always be better than the last.
I like that term, postmortem, rather than debrief. It's like
debrief is probably better. Postmortem, like, yeah, that show's dead.
Go ahead.
And we wanted to do a show, and by the way, we still haven't done this show. There was a movie, Gone in 60 Seconds, and in it, Nicholas Cage has this car that he's always been trying to steal, and he's never succeeded in stealing it ever. There's one show that we've always really been trying to do, and we actually had Jason Torn on, so that may have qualified, but it was on climate change, and specifically the science of climate change. It was our second show, and our producer had already vetted this person for another show that he had previously produced for. Now, he was our producer, so I was just like, okay, if he's vetted it, and my instincts were maybe I should vet the guy, but I was like, look, he's our producer, and I'm doing a million things. This is only our second show. Let's, whatever. So we bring the guy on, and he's like, yeah, I'm here to talk about climate change. We're like, well, what do you know about climate change? He's like, yeah, well, the climate is changing, man. Okay. How do we know that the climate is changing? Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah. You got an answer? No, I should look that up. That's important. I should look that up and see why the climate's changing. Like, well, could we know by, say, ice core samples? Because that might be it. That might be how we know. So, yeah, that might have something to do with it. How does an ice core sample? And I had a co-host, and he is texting me, and he's like, "What the fuck is happening?" He's like, "I don't know how to talk." And we're sitting there trying to talk about carrying your guest, and we're just like we're taking turns feeding him questions, and I was just like, "Okay, I want my producer and a guillotine in the room in 10 minutes." So that was a memorable one, and we've tried 3 or 4 times to get that, and then we had another one where we had a guy who we were told had a PhD in philosophy. Now, Christopher Mowdy is a guest host, and he's taken a lot of philosophy classes. I have a BA in philosophy, so I at least recognize philosophy when I see it, and it turned out that this guy's PhD was in something very, very, very different than philosophy. And I had just assumed when I was talking to the producer that represented him, when he said, "Oh yeah, doctor this, doctor that, philosophy, this and that, we're gonna." I never bothered to ask the question: is he a doctorate in philosophy? It was like, no, it ended up being like IT or something like that. And I was just like, oh okay. So we had him on, and we started asking him some basic philosophical questions to which I already knew all of the answers. I mean, this was like Phil 101. And he was like, that's a really good question. What do you think? And I was just like, what are you Socrates now? No, we're asking the expert because we want an answer for the show. And Mowdy kind of lost it. He's like, are you out of your mind? And he just starts going in on it. I was like, wait, no, we shouldn't be attacking except on this, in this panel. I'm actually kind of in agreement. And then I forget what it was he said, but he said a few things that I'm just like, that's not philosophy. That's like fortune cookie stuff. I was like, do you like go to a Chinese restaurant? And I don't know. So we've had a couple of shows like that get really interesting and are very uncomfortable. They're a barrel of laughs for a lot of the audience who seems to be masochists and say they like the show but like to watch me suffer. But yeah,
I think that, I mean, I've learned this too, that there are guests that, even though you're sitting at home or your office behind a microphone and there's not an audience in front of you, there's still that same nervousness because that there's thousands of people out there who are going to see you, and it takes a lot. And you might be psyched up for it, but at the moment you go live, in the moment it happens, there's something in your head that goes, oh, the word, and
yeah.
And I think some people do freeze up a little about their information that they need to give, but it is a host's responsibility to try to make that person feel comfortable. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I get what you mean, and I still consider myself a novice. Dick and Dunk are my mentors. You're my mentor. But the one thing that is important is just be real. And I think I think some guests don't want to, or they don't feel comfortable saying, gosh, I don't know, or I don't remember, I'm nervous, I don't, let me, and just give me a minute, I'll check my notes or something. But it is hard. It is really hard to do, to make some people feel comfortable. I've been really lucky because one of my goals here is actually to bring in family members from the channel, Commander McMillan, and basically do this is Commander McMillan, this is who he is. And Janine's real quiet and shy, but I've also been on podcasts with her, and she's my friend, and I know how to bring, but it's both. The better you get to know someone, I think the easier it is to do an interview, and also your brain doesn't get all locked up. I mean, have you ever, how do you feel before you do a stream? Do you get kind of nervous, or are you just like, oh, this is natural?
I still get a little nervous before every stream. And there's a lot to that. In part, it's because, and Dick will tell you, Dick hosts and produces simultaneously on most of the shows here.
And everything. He's a master.
That's an interesting fucking challenge. And I think that adds a level of nervousness, because not only do I have to worry about myself, but I have to worry about the sound on everybody else and everything else that's going on. And then I have to come out and try to be affable. And, it's like, so I do, but I don't. For the most part, I remember when I was a kid, I was a junior counselor at a summer camp, and I was getting a license in archery to set up archery ranges, actually up to the Olympic level and all that other good stuff. And I was only 16, but the archery counselor was going to take 3 days off, and he said, "You know what? You're good enough. I think you can run the range. Why don't you run the range for 3 days?" And I was like, "I'm only 16." I was like, "Oh my God, this is great!" So I was thrilled. And then he said, "So just when the schedule comes, announce it." Well, I had to announce it to the entire camp, which was like 200 people. And I was just like, "Oh no, I'm not announcing the schedule. All you got to do is read. We have archery from 8 a.m. to And I was just, no. Oh, no, 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 no. And I ran around trying to get someone else to do it. Finally got someone to do it. And about 10 seconds before they were about to go do it, just like, why did I do that? I was like, because I'm fucking terrified of speaking in front of everybody. Are you fucking kidding me? And I was like, well, wait a minute. I don't like the fact that I'm terrified of that. I don't like the fact that that's a limitation. I don't like the fact that I'm running away from that challenge. So I went to that person. I said, you know what? I appreciate that you're doing this. I'll go do it. I was like, you sure? I said, yeah. And I had no idea how. I was just like, I can't believe I just did this. And I went out, did it, came back. And I'm like, wow, like the whole earth didn't just spontaneously catch on fire. And literally since that moment, everybody I know has been trying to get me to shut up.
I think that I love when you talk. You're so interesting. We don't mind if you don't shut up. And if we get a little bit nervy about it, we'll just cut right in. So, but you're right about that defining moment. My defining moment was when I was in the military and I was a command in-service coordinator, and they started me on just basic stuff, which was CPR, but it was instructing all levels, enlisted and officers, but these officers were doctors and dentists. And it was at Naval Hospital San Diego, which is a huge command. And sometimes our commander was an admiral. Sometimes you had visiting admirals and a lot of brass. And I remember I was just in the classroom, which maybe 10, 15 people in a group to keep it manageable. And I remember they said, they were starting a whole nother session. We're going to do all the certifications, but we have a lot of people and we're having people come in from other commands. And I just figured we were going to divide them up in all of these rooms that we had that had a lot of teaching rooms at the hospital. Nope. They put everyone in the gigantic auditorium. It was monstrous. And they're, oh yeah. And I said, well, where do we go to give the instruction? And like, oh, go in the auditorium. I was on leave and I got called to do this. I was not even in uniform. And I told them, I'm in civilian clothes. I don't have a uniform here. I'm actually, on time off. I came in here to help everybody out. I had to stand up there in civilian clothes in front of all these people. And the thing what would be is if I was in uniform, at least it would look official, but they're like, no, don't worry about it. And I think that was my defining moment. It's like, well, if I can get through this, I can get through anything. And I always go back to that. And that also, it's that old thing where they say, oh, imagine everybody in their underwear. That doesn't work. That does not work.
No, it doesn't.
I'm sorry.
I have no idea what.
Stupidest thing.
It made me even more nervous because I'm sitting there going like, does anyone in this audience know that I'm thinking of all of them in their underwear? Do they think I'm a pervert? Like, am I a pervert? I don't like this. This is making this much harder.
I know. For me, it'd be like, ooh, that's really nasty. My brain would go to other directions. Oh my gosh. So this wasn't. I don't want to blindside you with this, but we didn't talk about this before the show. Can you tell me how you and Mr. Dawson met? Because I'm not sure if I even know. And I don't think our audience knows either. And I just thought about that because you guys joke back and forth like you've known each other forever, like you're brothers from another mother. And so tell us the story.
He's got a very good sense of humor, and he puts up with a lot of my shit giving him a hard time. My biggest concern is he gives as good as he gets, and I usually don't like it, but okay, fine. The funny thing is, he and I met through another content creator, and we both knew this creator, but we were on different sides of what that creator was doing. So he and I both knew of each other, and we actually shared a producer for a while. The producer has unfortunately passed, but I think both he and I cared a great deal about this producer, and so he and I knew each other that way. And I think we had heard of each other, and certainly the producer would, every now and then I'd see the Shills like background come up on In Time, not while we were live, just as he was prepping. And he's like, I'm trying this new background. I'm doing this. I was just like, this is wrong show. But it was a really great. Yeah, it was really great. He was a great guy, and so we knew each other through that. But he and I had never been formally introduced. Every now and then, I would be in his live chat and say, "Oh, there's Nick. It's in time." Yada yada yada. I don't think he and I ever got an official introduction. Now, so what I am going to do is I'm going to interrupt briefly. I think I had told you earlier.
Yes, go ahead and interrupt because this is breaking news. Nick is live with breaking news. Go for it.
We had anticipated that today was going to be the day that he resigns, and I have on occasion left interviews to do breaking news, and we are, as I said before, we're actually standing by for this because we were anticipating this today. He is withdrawing from the race, so what I think I'm going to do is, if you don't mind, maybe take 5 more minutes, and then I think I'm going to need to go because
you know
we did
Nick,
prep for this. So
that's fine. No, I completely understand because this is your love. What I want to do is I'm going to read off a couple of super chats here. Let me get into
and since Zandring is in the Zandring, if you want to come in and join us, I have a feeling we're going to have a lot to discuss. It's going to be the same link as last time, but maybe some changes. And this is going to be our first time live, so
great.
This will be interesting.
Okay, so a Zandring person added super chat for $10. Thank you so much. It's about I think General Hodges' title, Lieutenant General, not Lieutenant Commander. And Michelle Kirk had a member message for the Shills Secular Sunday Service Basic Spectacular. Thank you so much. I want to go ahead and thank our Shayna Caldwell in the chat for running the Shills account, and for our team, Crazy Cat, Liam Wakefield, and Titan, you're now modded. Hello, and hello, Maya. And also, thank you, Dick, for doing such an amazing job with everything behind the scenes. So, and Nick, thank you for being here and doing this. I really appreciate it. And I look forward I'm going to watch you. I'll be in the audience.
And I will owe you a conclusion to this interview. So we will do a conclusion to it. Thank you very, very much. I do apologize for
That's okay. All right. Well, Dick, go ahead and take us out. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you later. I think Dick is.
Well, and actually, here's the other thing we can do. Actually, right before we bail, what I am going to do, if we haven't canceled it yet, I am going to quickly go to the back end on In Time, and I'm going to unhide, because as I said, we were anticipating this, so we hid the Biden drops, but there is a link. So let me unhide it so you guys can have the link if you would, if that would help. Yeah, it's been so long. I don't know how to find content on this thing anymore. This is those of you who want to watch an absolute catastrophe in action. Come watch In Time live in just a few minutes. Hopefully, it's not going to be that bad. Where's the this should do it. There we are. So what I'm going to
You can go off. I'll wait till Dick might be with Felix, and so you can go off, and I'll give a few updates to our audience. And good luck, Nick, and I will be there shortly.
Thank you very much. I've sent you the link to that. Should be no, that's to the. Wow, it really has been a long time.
Well, Nick, you can drop it yourself because you have a wrench in the chat.
Oh, I have a wrench in the chat. Well, I dropped it. I dropped it to you on Discord, and I am going to go. Thank you all very much, and we will we'll do part 2 as soon as we can. Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you. We'll see you soon. So for those of you who are still with us, since Dick is on the production end doing the outro here, we'll wait for him to get on. This is actually a good chance for me to thank everybody and kind of let everyone know what happened to me. And I'm on Monday, I live in Des Moines, Iowa, and on Monday, an F1 tornado came directly through my area. And you might think, oh, it's F1, it's nothing. F1 is basically has nothing to do with wind speeds. It just has things to do with destruction. And most of the time, it's building destruction. What happened on that tornado was incredible damage to trees. And I had a part of a gigantic tree in my backyard, and part of the tree actually came down and fell on my house. Luckily, it did not breach the inside of it. I have cracks in the walls on that side, and of course, there's damage. And thank goodness I do rent because I'm here temporarily. But that was one of the more traumatic, not one of the more. It rates up there because when I had trees fall all around the house, and the windows that I usually kind of peek out of were all covered with leaves, and all I heard was things hitting the house. It just pounding on the roof, and it just felt like it didn't stop. And I was so traumatized. And when I couldn't see out the windows, I had no idea what was going on, and I didn't even know if it was safe because sometimes these storms get a little crazy and a tornado can go through, but you still have really high winds. And my biggest concern too was my neighbors. I have a neighbor on one side who has a 2-year-old girl. Across the street, he has a 3-year-old boy, and right next to him, they have a 4-year-old boy. And I knew if that tree went down on me, they had massive trees. And so I came up the steps, and I couldn't get out my back door. And I couldn't see out my kitchen window because obviously it was just full of tree. I don't know how my kitchen window didn't break. I don't know, probably pretty good windows. But I went out the front, and what I saw was just shocking. Just the gigantic trees that had fallen in the road across the street from me. The lady that had the 4-year-old son, a tree crashed. Luckily, it crashed towards her driveway. It smashed part of her house. And then also the guy that has the 3-year-old boy, it smashed part of their house. And everyone's running around. I've never experienced this amount of caring in my life, really. Normally, everyone's like, hey, how you doing? But we don't really socialize too much because everybody's busy. And everybody was around checking on each other. And I had planned on getting out of here in next spring. And since this was, it hasn't even been 30 days since the last tornado went through. And luckily those were glancing blows, but still lots of tree damage and lots of cleanup. And you just get really tired of being traumatized from this weather here. You just can't ever get a moment where you're not worried, especially when the radar is going off and you see all these tornado warnings for other places. So my goal is to get out of here this fall. I do want to thank anybody who donated to help me with those goals, because I've already started paying off some things so I can have my finances freed up. But I haven't had a chance to tell everybody what happened or thank everybody for your support, especially my team, the Shills team. I wrote that my power went out within a second of that tornado hitting, which means my internet went out, and I texted Dick, I'm hit, it's bad. And, they just go into action. They're like, okay, we're going to do this, and this. And, they just let me take care of what I need to take care of, which is so nice. And then even yesterday, emergency crews, because it was declared a disaster area, emergency crews came in and they were still messing with the internet. I had my internet hooked up, luckily, the day after, but it's, who knows how long it's going to last. They actually had to string my line through a tree that's broken in my neighbor's yard, but chances are they're not going to get it out of there anytime soon. So I was lucky there, but my internet went down yesterday, and I'm going, it's the Ukraine's dream. Shayna, step up. She goes, I'm here. So sweet Shayna, and sweet, wonderful everybody else. but luckily it was probably a repair that they did down the street, and they went ahead and I don't even know what happened, but it did go on probably about 40 minutes before the show. But I wish that every YouTube channel could have such an amazing team behind them and such an amazing family that's so supportive. If I see a lot of people in our chat that you are on other channels, and be a team to support your channel owner, be a team to support your YouTube, because life happens. And the good thing about YouTube is you can turn around and you can cancel a stream, you can postpone a stream. But we don't like to do that, because every time we're off, we don't reach people to tell them what's going on, so that we can reach hearts and minds. But so anyway, that's a long thank you. Sorry about being so long-winded, but I wanted to tell you, everybody, what happened here. This is the third tornado, and I'm done. I'm so done. I'm going to get out of here and get somewhere where I don't have to worry about if we're going to get hit. So anyway, Shayna, thank you so much for being such a sweetheart and everything that you do. And also I have her on regular text, and sometimes, I've called her. She lives in Ohio. She's no stranger to storms either, but she's really been there to talk. And there's everybody knows Skitz Crusher's on our channel, and he's always there to support me during the storms. And I want to thank him too. I have these rocks, these people who are just grounding me in the Shills, and just such a huge support. And I just love all you guys. So on that note, I think Dick is back, and like, share. We're almost at 10,000 subs. If they love Ukraine news, if they love humor, if you know anybody that just loves the one-on-one interviews, have them tune into this stream. Help us get there, because we can reach a lot more people. The algorithm on YouTube loves 10,000. So if you could help us out with that, it would be much appreciated. And thank you, everybody, for all your support, your super chats, and being here. So that's it. I'm off. Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.